7 years ago, on a ride on the 15 bus up Willis Ave, I looked back and got my first impression of one of the young men of the class of 2020. I saw an energetic sixth grader waving with genuine enthusiasm and with a beaming smile, probably having not expected to see a teacher riding the bus with him. 7 years later, this young man is about to stand before you as your valedictorian. Since that time long ago, he's never wavered from that genuine resolve we've come to know him for, and we've watched him and stood by him as he's led an incredible journey filled with challenges he's always risen to meet, earning every accomplishment for himself and no one else. Your class valedictorian, Romano McKenzie, truly personifies all aspects of CLEAR that we instill in and recognize in all of you. He's made choices based on what he knew was best for him, even if they weren't easy choices to make. And even if the outcome wasn't what he's expected, he's taken what he's learned from it and moved forward. He and I have had our moments, as he's had with others, but as we say to each other, that's what family is after all these years, and we move on. But what helps him stand apart from the rest is his humbleness. So many of us have listened to him clear his mind and watched him think through what we've had to say back to him. You're ready for the next phase of your life, Romano, not because you have this all-seeing knowledge of the world, but rather because you know how to see the world for yourself and make the journey your own. Whether your path keeps you here or takes you back home, we're all confident that your path will be carved by you and no one else. We love you and can't wait to see what you do. To the class of 2020, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to your class valedictorian, Romano McKenzie.
Good evening, family, faculty, staff, and most importantly, my brothers, the class of 2020. First off, I just want to say, we made it. We made it, my brothers. You made it. I know you're looking at me. You made it, my brothers. We all made it. Some of us have been here for 7 years of our lives, which is crazy when you think about it. 7 years of being surrounded by old boys was not the ideal picture. We literally grew up with each other. And even though some of you haven't been here as long as we have, we accepted you as if you were. I'm honored today to be your valedictorian. And I just want to say thank you guys for having my back each and every single day. And even though I know this isn't what we imagined our senior year would look like, don't let these circumstances rob you of your hard work and dedication that got you where you are right now. For those of you that don't know, I'm an immigrant of Guyana. Immigrating to America at the age of 5 was no easy feat. I battled language barriers, tumultuous family and parental bonds, and loneliness that comes with feeling displaced. As a 5-year-old, I had no clue about the extent of this sacrifice. I just knew that I was leaving everything I'd ever known behind, Guyana and my family. I was officially exiting my comfort zone. America was so new and everything I did, everyone considered it to be bad. I remember arriving here and feeling slightly invisible. It was almost like none of my efforts counted. I was often considered too aggressive, too angry, and easily frustrated. But I was just misunderstood. I was struggling to adjust and express myself, and I just wanted to go home because even I wasn't sure why I was here. However, one place I never felt misjudged or misunderstood was Eagle Academy. At the time, basketball was the only thing on my mind because it was the only thing I felt good at, the only thing I could do right, and the only way to express myself. It gave me the opportunity to focus on what I had and not what I lacked. This was the mindset of a kid from 3rd grade to 10th grade. It doesn't have to be specifically about basketball, but I know you guys can relate. 8th grade was not the first, but 8th grade was the first time in my life I got recognized for fondant. 8th grade was the first time in my life I got recognized for something besides basketball. It was being placed in 802 that made me begin to realize I had more to offer. One of the biggest turning points of that year was me telling my humanities teacher I didn't want to be called out to read. That was the first time I had the confidence to express myself verbally to someone else about something I lacked. I remember her telling me, you better have thick skin or you better learn how to read. And for a moment I was stuck. I was stuck because I tried to figure out multiple ways to convince her not to call on me. But it was pointless. She was going to call on me anyway. Many people don't know this, but after that day, I asked one of my closest friends if he would stay after school with me so I could read to him out loud. Eventually, it started to pay off, and I started to put more. Eventually, it started to pay off, and I started to put more effort into reading on my own, which helped a lot. For a while, it felt like everything was finally getting better, and trust me, they were, until ninth grade. That year, I lost someone dear to my heart, my grandfather, and what had made my grandfather's passing more harder was he told me to come 2 weeks prior to go see him, and I never did. I blamed his death on myself, and at the time I never told anybody. I couldn't tell anybody because as a young man in society, we are taught to not show our tears. From that moment on, I started carrying myself differently. I started to take more responsibilities for my action. I became more aware of what I was supposed to do and what I was sent to America to do. At the same time, it was so hard for me to do so because I felt like I had nobody. Looking back at it, my brothers, I was just making excuses. I was holding myself back with negative thoughts of being responsible for something that was out of my control. I was beating myself up because I thought being compared to my brother who was the valedictorian was too much for me. Because I was telling myself I wasn't smart, I wasn't well behaved, and I would never be like him. And in 10th grade, my coach made me realize that basketball was not the only path for me. He saw something in me that a lot of teachers see today. A young man with endless potential that could excel in anything he puts his mind to. After that, I made the decision to step down from basketball because basketball was no longer necessary. It was a sacrifice that made me understand more about the adults in my life and the choices they made. This was the best decision I ever made. And at that time, I didn't know how rewarding it would be. In the course of 2 years, I've been to UCLA, hiking in the Catskill Mountains, traveling to Rochester just to have lunch with the mayor, going to Costa Rica, and guess what? I didn't have to pay a penny. I've been one of 4 young men to represent the Bronx and do a project to uplift my community. Without Eagle Academy, this would not be possible. Without the words of my brothers, who asked me every day if I was okay, this would not be possible. Because it made me feel like I had somebody. And I understand that this wasn't everyone's experience. But my brothers, the past is the past, and our job now is not to relive it. My brothers, I want to say it again. Do not let these circumstances rob you of the work and dedication you put to get where you are right now. Being a part of history is never easy. For the past 3 months and 2 weeks, we've been hit with this unfortunate pandemic, and we're still here. For the past years, we've been faced with systematic racism, and we are still here. Things like COVID and the killing of our brothers and sisters do not break us. They only make us closer. As long as you guys have my back, best believe I'll have yours. And the people who are with you right now, they'll have yours. And the people who put this together, they'll always have yours. So don't feel disappointed because we are still here today making things work. Miss Alves, you were that humanities teacher. Mr. Leonard, you were that coach. Mr. Bissonette, Mr. Cameron, Miss Brown, and Coach Brown, and so many other teachers. I want to thank you for being there when I needed you. Thank you for uplifting me even though I felt like I had the weight on my shoulders, the weight of the world on my shoulders. Thank you. To Hortensia and Marlon, thank you. Thank you for taking me and my brother in at the age of 5 and 7. You guys have taken the role as parents and showed us what it means to be family or to have a family. I'm glad I got to be a part of yours. Thank you to Pa. May you rest in peace. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here right now. Although it's very frustrating and even unfair that we didn't get the spoils of being a senior, we stay resilient through this, and that's a necessary trait that we'll take throughout life. I'm still glad I got to spend 7 years of my life getting to know you guys, and nothing could take the brotherhood away from us. We are the masters of our fate, and we are the captains of our soul. I want to say that one more time. We are the masters of our fate, and we are the captains of our soul.